Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. This one's on sim settings and tips and tricks to make your flight sim experience more personalised for you. This should work on Xbox and PC, so I'll be showing you some assistance options. Some settings in the chase cam as well, you've got various options there, and other settings within the sim. I'll also be showing you some map settings. Like I said, this should work on Xbox and PC, so when you're flight planning on the world map, how you can make that more personalised and easier to navigate. And also towards the end of this video, I'll be showing you a tip specifically for Xbox Microsoft Flight Simmers. How you can load in a flight plan using an external program and then input it into the sim. How to make that whole process easier when somebody posts a flight plan on a multiplayer flight. How you can open that and then input it into your own sim. Okay, let's not dilly-dally. Let's get on with this video. So let's start with some cockpit accessibility options. Now, depending where you are in your flight sim journey, you may want it like I've got it here, where no name tooltips come up when I hover over buttons and nothing's highlighting. I prefer it actually with some kind of aid with this, because sometimes if I'm in an unfamiliar aircraft, I'm not quite sure which buttons are which, and my eyesight isn't the best these days. I'm just getting that a little bit older, so my eyesight is failing. So I'm going to show you both ways. You could have it this way, and I'll show you which options have it this way, where nothing comes up, nothing highlights. If you want to make your life a little bit easier, go to Options, and go to General Options. Should work for Xbox and PC. Go to Accessibility. And under Accessibility, you want to be under User Interface, where it's got Cockpit Interaction System. You've got Legacy mode and you've got Lock mode. So Legacy or Lock. If you're hardcore, you don't want any tips, put it on Legacy. Have everything else turned off down here. Menu tooltips, instrument name tooltips. I'll show you these in a moment. If you want to make your life a little bit easier, put this to Lock and put your instrument name tooltips to On or Instant. You've got two options, instant or delayed, or three options, or off. So if it's off, put it on instant, and it will instantly show you the tooltips. If it's delayed, it will be a bit of a delay but before it shows you the name of what button you're hovering over. So put your cockpit interaction system onto lock, and instrument name tooltips to instant. Apply and save that, go back, resume. When you hover over buttons now, you can actually see not only the name of each button will come up to show you what button you're hovering over, it will also highlight in blue. So the cockpit interaction system is actually highlighting each button. I find this quite useful, especially when I'm making videos, so people can see what button I'm hovering over and the name of the control I'm hovering over. If you're learning a new aircraft, this is pretty vital really to see what each button is, and you can see that you're actually hovering over the specific button. Just show you another couple of tips in here in accessibility. General options, accessibility. If this text is a little bit small, it's the right size for me, but it depends on your resolution. This might be a bit small and how far away you are from the screen. Minimum text size, you can increase that. Let's put it on 25 or 26 even. You can see the size of the text has increased here. If we go back to the sim, yeah, the names of each button hasn't increased, but if you go up, you can see the multiplayer names, so people flying around. See if we can see a few more. Their names have increased, so if you're on a multiplayer flight and you're having trouble seeing who's flying around you, I've actually got it in heading mode so I can fly back towards those guys, back towards London. That's an option. They're a little bit too big for me, these names, so I'm going to turn that back down. But if you want that text and this text a bit larger, general options, accessibility, minimum text size. I'm going to put it back down to 18, which I believe is the default size. It suits me. Show you another tip here. While you have it in cockpit interaction on lock, you've got a new menu. If you have that on legacy, this menu will be grayed out. But if you have it on lock, you've got this instrument description tooltips on as well. Option rather. It's off by default. You can turn it on or to instant or delayed rather. So off by default, you can have it on instant or delayed. I'm going to put it on instant. Cockpit interaction system lock. Instrument name tooltips instant and instrument description tooltips instant as well. Apply and save, resume, get back in my aircraft. If I come down to my instruments, not only will it give me the name, but it will tell me how to interact. So it tells me to left click to interact with each button. That's quite obvious. With the knobs here, if I left click and hold, it will tell me what axis I need to use to interact with that. It's the middle mouse axis, essentially. And with the heading bug as well. So obviously you all know about the selected altitude. So there's another thing. I don't have that on. That's a bit too much text for me. But you may want that if you're learning a new aircraft. So it'll give you the tooltips for each item you're hovering over as well. I'm going to turn that off. So back to general options, accessibility. Let's have that to off. So I don't want that tooltips on, but I want to keep the names on. And you can explore the rest yourself. If you in the main menus here, if you don't like this color, you can change this. For example, I like this color. You get various different options, including red as well. Actually, it's not that color I like. It's this color I like. So apply and save that. Now I've got this color in my menus options. And you can mess around with this sort of cursor acceleration and max speed and subtitles, colors and that type of thing. So well worth a try. Let's move on with more tips and settings. Okay, so on with more settings. Let me just get myself back towards downtown London or around the London area. That's fine. So what I want to show you first is again in general options. You can see, let's just go back, that I'm in a live server so I can see other people around me. If you can't see their name tags, you want to go to general options, general options and traffic. Under traffic, you've got show traffic name tags. That's the way I can see them. If I turn that off, apply and save, go back, resume, I can no longer see people around me until they fly into me or something of that sort. If I just go back to general options and traffic and turn that on, show traffic nameplates. Hey presto, you should be able to see other people. If you're in a live multiplayer flight, for example, you want to see name tags, that's the way you do it. Okay, so let's now move on to assistance options. We'll click onto that. Few things I want to show you here. First, in user experience. Under user experience, assistant options, user experience, you've got, if you scroll down a bit, you've got the chase cam heads up display. I've got it off at the moment. So if I'm in a flight, I'm in external mode, I don't have any of my instruments showing and I can take pretty pictures and that type of thing. If I want to have some instruments showing, I'll go to Assistant Options, User Experience, scroll down a bit, Instrument Heads-Up Display, Chase Cam. You've got a few options. You've got it off, full, or minimal. Let's put it to full. Apply and save, go back, resume. You can now see I've got a compass, I've got my speed ribbon, engine RPM, fuel, angle of attack, flaps, trim, altitude and vertical speed, all that good and splendid stuff. If you want that on minimal, let's just go to Assistant Options, User Experience. So the same place, I can put the chase cam to minimal, apply and save, go back, resume. I've now got all those different indicators, but they're just shrunk down a bit, so I can see my trim there, altitude, airspeed engine, angle of attack, that type of thing, and fuel. Typically, I don't have them on, but it is an option. People have asked me that, how do I turn them on? That's how you do it. Assistant options, user experience, and chase cam. I'm going to turn mine off. If for some reason you want these on in the cockpit, you've only got two options. You've got off and minimal. So I'll put the cockpit cam to minimal. Apply and save, go back, resume, jump in the cockpit. I guess it's useful if you're learning to fly and you want to see where you are on your compass. You've got a big compass display there. These are quite minimal, so it shows you your airspeed at a glance. You don't have to come down to your instruments. You can just see them on screen. So that's up to you. I prefer them off myself. So assistant options, user experience, I'll put that back to off. Apply and save. If you want to hear ATC voices, that's how you turn your ATC voices on. I've got them off, but if you want them on, you just turn them on. Piloting's another interesting one. If your aircraft's behaving funny, turn everything off here. Auto rudder assisted yoke. Might be useful to have one or two of these on if you're having trouble. Typically, though, they cause more problems. By the way, communications ATC, you also want this turned on if you want to hear ATC voices as well. But the rest of them, I just turn them off. They're more trouble than they're worth. Other things I've got on are things like this. Tow plane, takeoff assistance, assisted tail rotor, and assisted cyclic for the helicopters. Only things I've got turned on there, they make my life easier. The rest make your life more difficult. I advise turning these off. Another thing, if you're learning to fly, you can turn your crash damage and aircraft stress damage to disabled. I've got them enabled. I'm hardcore. If I crash, I crash. But if you want to bump off the ground and start flying again, just have these disabled, crash damage especially. I'll keep mine enabled. And there's one other thing I want to show you before we move to the map settings. I'm going to show you sound settings. It's under general options. And under sound. Now I've got my aircraft engines turned down to 27. Or 27% essentially. Aircraft miscellaneous to 100 and warnings to 100. These two are the important ones for what I'm going to show you. So aircraft engines turn it down to something like 27%. Aircraft miscellaneous 100 and warnings to 100. If I'm doing something like NDB ADF navigation, I'll link a video down in the description if you're not sure what that is. I can turn the ADF on. Hopefully. Hopefully you can hear that. You can hear the Morse code, especially useful if you're flying ADF NDB navigation. You really want to have that Morse code on so you can hear it, so you know you're flying towards that NDB. If you can't hear it, obviously you're in trouble. So that's one useful feature. The warnings. If I change my altitude, selected altitude to 500 feet and use quite a bit of nose down, vertical speed, so 1,000 feet per minute descent. Let's go a bit faster. Let's do it a bit more extreme. 1,400. Should never really descend that quickly. I pull my throttle back so I don't overspeed. Wait for it when we reach 500 feet.
500.
There you go. The kind lady will tell you that you've reached 500 feet altitude. Don't like that altitude. I'm going to go back up to 1,000. Selected altitude. Put a bit of vertical speed nose up in there. So that's how you do it. So if you're going to fly into a building, it'll probably say something like terrain or something of that sort. It will warn you. I find that quite useful, and I find especially the Morse code frequency useful as well. Okay, let's now move to the map settings. There's a couple of exciting things I want to show you there. Okay, so I'm on the world map in Microsoft Flight Sim. Again, this should work for Xbox and PC. Simple flight from London City over to Birmingham International with a few waypoints I've added. Now, some of you may find that you're setting up a flight plan. It might be for a multiplayer flight or that's something you want to fly, you found another point of interest. I want to fly from here, from Heathrow, that I've set up, over to Oxford, and then, actually, no, over to, let's see, Abingdon. So I want to fly from Heathrow. When I reach Heathrow, I then want to go to Abingdon before I reach this waypoint here. So if I add that now, if I just click on Abingdon and add, the way the world map's done it, it's still going to fly me from Heathrow to this waypoint and then to Abingdon. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to fly from Heathrow itself over to Abingdon. Now, one clever person in the Discord, it was quite a while ago, mentioned this, and it was something I was unaware of myself. So if you're watching this video, leave a comment, because the credit goes to you. I've just forgotten who it was and I can't find the comment. What you can do here is actually click on the line that you want to change. So I'm from Heathrow, from this next part of my route, I'm going to click on the line here. That will highlight in a different blue. Now, if I click on Abingdon and add, it will do what I wanted. It will fly me from Heathrow to Abingdon, then onto that waypoint. Again, just to show you, remove that. That's the way I had my course set up. I've not highlighted that line now, but if I click on Abingdon again, add, it's going to fly me to this waypoint first and then Abingdon. That's not what I want. So I'll click on the line, highlight the blue line, click on Abingdon and add. And there you go. So fly me from Heathrow to Abingdon, then onto that waypoint. And you can do that for various stages of your flight plan or any route that you may specifically have set up. I find that very useful. Let's take you on to the next tip. Okay, so for this last tip, this will be especially useful for Xbox Microsoft Flight Simmers. Typically, like my Discord, by the way, this is linked down below in the description. Anybody is welcome to join my Discord. In my upcoming live streams, for example, I'll link a flight plan for a live stream that I got planned. Typically, I'm going to give myself brownie points here. I'll tell the Xbox flyers what the flight plan is, what it entails, what points entails. Often people don't do that. They'll just put a flight plan up. If you're on Xbox, you can't load that into Xbox as it is. There are a couple of ways of doing this. I'm going to show you my favorite way. You will need access to some kind of PC. You don't need a PC that's capable of flying or playing Microsoft Flight Sim. Just a PC that's capable of running something like Windows 10, 11. Doesn't have to be an especially powerful PC. You download the flight plan. That's what I've got here. I've got a folder specifically for flight plans. That Tribute live stream is here, the plan. There you go. So how do I open that if I don't have Flight Sim on my PC? Well, you would download something called Little Navmap. I'm going to link a video down below in the description on Little Navmap. You don't need to have Flight Sim running to have Little Navmap running. It's quite an easy program to run. And what you would do on your PC with Little Navmap, you would go to File, up here, go to Open Flight Plan, browse to your folder. It's taken me to the folder where my flight plan is, and it's this one that I want to open. Give it a second, it will open the flight plan for you. So what you would do then on your Xbox on a different screen, you would look at this flight plan. I believe this is where we took off from for the tribute flight at Boyne Airfield there. And then you would input all the different points within Microsoft Flight Simulator world map that you can see on this flight plan. You see there, not sure what we did there. Was it a touch and go at Prestwick, I believe? And then onwards to Ireland. And then back over to the UK, over to England. So there you go. That's one way of doing it. There's a couple of other ways which I won't go into. But this, for me, is the easiest way to do it. Open your flight plan in Little Navmap and then just copy those points. Add them to your world map flight plan if you're on Xbox. So there you go, chaps. Those are my hints and tips and settings to make your life a little bit easier in Microsoft Flight Sim. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have other tips and tricks? Leave them down below in the comments. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for many more Flight Simulator videos of this sort on their way. And I'll see you soon.